Kristen.
Oh, man. So
Gotta love technology.
We're not perfect. Surprise. That's my fault. Again, the internet is letting me down today. It must be because we got a little breeze going here. But hopefully we're better. We've switched. Hopefully this will never happen again. Okay, we are professionals, but we're gonna roll it back. We're gonna start from the top. I know some of you are already listening, but
we deleted that one. We're starting over.
Didn't even happen. So welcome to episode 5. We've done 5. This is crazy. Legacy Living, Conversations That Count. And today we're going to go back to insurance informational. Last week we covered mindset, and we were talking the last couple of days. We've mentioned policy reviews and how we would love to do those for you, or we recommend that you do them at some point, but we haven't really shared why they're important, what we look for, how we can possibly help. And so we're going to go through some of that today and hopefully give you a better understanding of policy reviews on your current coverage and why it's important.
Yeah. So a lot of people think, Kristen, I already have life insurance. I'm good. But like your car or your phone plan, insurance products change over time. We always bring this up when we talk to families because I get this response too when I'm doing consults, like, oh, I already have something at my job. And I just want to address this because I think this is a big misconception for a lot of people. And that is, well, I'm covered at my job. But the reminder we give our families is if your job left you or you left your job. And so those group policies are cheap as they are because you share them in a group at your company. But the downside is if you left your job or you leave your job again, those aren't going to be there. Those policies are not going to be in place. So we always encourage families, you want to have something that you own outside your job. Plus, when you're looking at your policy that you might have outside your job already, there's always new features, Kristen, that come out. There's features that I love to talk about, which is living benefits, where you're able to actually access from that death benefit while you're alive. There's the reason to do a policy review is you may have not looked at your policy in years. And at this point, you might find lower cost options. And there's changes sometimes with medical and underwriting because those trends evolve as well. So sometimes maybe what you bought years ago just isn't aligned with what your current goals are. Maybe your new goals are to pay, debt payoff. Maybe you've had kids since you put that policy in place. Maybe you're coming closer to retirement. So that would be some of the top reasons I would definitely take a look at what you have.
Yeah. And that work policy is so important that you touched on that because I can't tell you, and I'm sure you've had the same, but how many conversations I've had with people who didn't realize that when they retire or if they got sick and couldn't work for months, I mean, their employer is likely to let them go. That's a business. So they're going to lose their coverage. And by the time they're looking, they're older, they're retired, or they're medically just not healthy. And so their options are super limited. So important. Your work policy, we love it, but don't depend on it. The other thing, and we kind of touched on this in episode 2 when we walked through the difference between like captive and non-captive or independent agents versus a broker, but that really plays into this conversation as well because there's a couple of things when you get a policy from a captive agent. So someone who works with one specific company, they may be limited on the options that they can get you, which may be great. If you're healthy and young or, have no medical issues, their 1 or 2 or 3 options their, has medical challenges or history. They may either not have an option that you can fit in as far as underwriting. Or what we've seen is it's super expensive. And so working with a broker, someone like Giovanna and I, who have access to a lot of different companies, that allows us to kind of find the best fit for you, just the best fit, what you qualify for, as well as the best price. So those companies are great and they have great products, but for some people, they could be told, you can't be covered at all, but in fact, we can find you coverage because we have access to greater things. And just the other thing to keep in mind too, and I can say this humbly, is as a new agent, you're kind of confused,
Right.
like the best option. And sometimes, maybe we didn't offer the best option because we were new and not as experienced. And so having an experienced agent who knows the products, knows the portfolios, knows the benefits really can help ensure that you get the best option out there for
Right.
you.
And when we do a policy review, guys, we're not just checking if it's active or what the premium is. I always say this, Kristen, until this day, the one thing I've learned in the years of being here is every family is different. So it is important that you sit down with maybe someone who's a broker and do an actual consult. If your agent isn't asking all the questions, then they're not figuring out what you specifically need and why you want that. So I take the approach, sit down, find out the information from the family or your family and what's best for you, because that's not always going to look the same for every family. I have people ask me all the time, Kristen, is term better? Is permanent better? Is whole life better? What's better? And what's best is what's going to be what's going to match your situation.
Yeah.
And for your particular family. So we're checking for things when we do policy reviews, guys. We're looking at like expiration dates, if there's renewal cost, if it makes sense to maybe replace what you had before, or maybe you have a term and that term's going to end and those rates are going to climb. So, there's just, we also don't want to look for any missing features like living benefits, terminal illness riders, long-term care options. Again, back to the living benefits. I just love that. When I hear people say, hey, I have a life insurance policy, but all it's providing is a death benefit. That's great for your beneficiaries. But what happens when you're alive and you have some type of health hazard, God forbid, cancer or heart attack or stroke, and now you have to stop working. And when you stop working, that income is going to stop. And most likely, if you have to leave the job, all your benefits are gone as well. So having something added in those features in your policy will not just protect your family, but they're going to protect you.
Yeah.
So you want to be able to build the value in your policy.
We could probably talk about living benefits on a whole nother episode, because literally we could go on. They are, if you qualify, there is absolutely no reason why you should not have those attached to your term coverage. I know a recent individual I helped, and she doesn't have living benefits, but she's in her 70s. We looked at her policy, and she thought, because again, just a newer agent she worked with, wasn't super educated, didn't make things clear. She thought her term policy for her and her husband went until age 100, which I knew. As soon as I heard that, I was like, oh wait, red flag. I know what that means.
Right.
So I was able to walk her through finding the premium chart, because you all have one in your term policy. And I just said, take a look at that chart and tell me if the rates go up after, in a couple of years. And it went from $60 a month to like $2,900 for the first year after her original 30-year term. So she could keep the policy until age 100, but we're going to pay $2,800 a month instead of $60. And so I was able to help save that financial stress from happening, but also let's look into other options for permanent coverage that we can get in place now.
Right. And I've been telling this story recently, and although very sad, it's a very powerful story. I have a client who was diagnosed in February with ALS, and he didn't end up contacting me. I didn't even know until July. And he was just calling to let me know. And we went through his policy, and I said, James, I'm like, you have living benefits. He said, the one thing that I want, Giovanna, is this protection, this policy I put in place is for my daughter. He's like, anything that I can do to help her. I said, well, what you could do is, now that you have those living benefits, we can submit your paperwork to the carrier and you can access up to 80% of that policy, James, while you're still living.
Life-changing.
He said, he's like, I want to be able to, I know I'm declining fast. It's obviously not what I expected, but knowing that I can access from that policy to go make memories with my daughter is something that I would love to be able to have. And so we were able to get him some of his living benefits to go out and do that with her.
That's amazing. Yeah. I mean, people don't we have health insurance and they're going to help pay for those things. But like you said, what about the mortgage, the monthly bills, or travel? I mean,
Right.
that is life changing. That's relationship saving, because we know how financial stress can hurt marriages or relationships. So that's amazing. So bottom line, policy reviews are important. Whether you do them with us or with the person you originally got coverage from, we don't care. We want you to get your policy review done. And so if you've never had one, or if it's been 3 or 4 years, we want you to go find your policy, log into your account, find a paper policy, whatever, contact your agent, get your hands on your policy, ask for a review, let us know if you need help. We're happy to do that for you free of charge. And if there's something better, great. If not, and what you have is perfect, we both have said that all the time to clients. So, yep. So go out there, find your policy, get a policy review done before the end of the year, and let us know how we can help. All right.
Awesome.
Happy Wednesday. Hope you enjoyed the technical difficulties.
Have a nice week, everybody. See you next week.